a bit of your background here. How many of you here are students? You can just, I can look at the Zoom chat. So if you say I am, you can say I am, or you can put your thumbs up or some reaction. How many of you are students? So great. So here, I mean, I would like to give some insights for you guys, right? You know, something for y'all to take away. And, you know, if you have any questions, okay, let me ask a proper question. What question do you have in mind while you're watching the presentation? You can type in the chat, or if you can type in the, okay, I don't have the Q&A here, but you can type in the chat if you want, or you could message me. What are some of the things that interest you in the presentation? Just maybe type some keywords in the chat, you know, like 1 or 2 words where you think that financial freedom, great. You know, do you feel some resonance in it? Do you feel it's applicable to you? So there's a question here from Jane, between monthly and weekly budget planning, what's the budget plan that is better to be practiced? So I won't go into the planning of the budget, but maybe taking a step back here, it varies from different people to different people, depending on the expenditure, right? Maybe I'll just give you some scenarios here. Some people can't afford a monthly budget, and therefore they have to plan on weekly, and some even have to plan on daily. So example, like we'll go from the low income earners. All of us here may possibly have insurance, right? And because insurance we pay on monthly basis. So I'll just share a very interesting case study we did here in Papua New Guinea with UNCDF. So we all here, I'm sure here, most of us here might have medical insurance. Why do we get insurance? We may have purchased from an agent because we know how to read and we know the benefit of insurance. However, the lower income, they don't really have the means to pay one lump sum per month. And that was one of the problem statements that we found in Papua New Guinea. So what we did was we enable a market where a telco and an insurance company come together, because when you're on a very tight financial budget, you won't be able to commit on a month-to-month basis on a phone contract. You know, so poorer people or people who have very little extra expenditure, they top up their phones. So what happened, the telco and insurance company came up with a new product where when you top up your phone, you can actually purchase an insurance. Say example, you buy a 10 ringgit top-up phone and 50 cents goes to an insurance. So you have to really reflect what goals you want to achieve, and just thinking about that 3 pillars, right? So I'm just sharing a case study here, which I thought very interesting on how do we innovate and how do we create a product where people have access to this product. So we have a question here, what should be my primary financial goal? This, you can actually Google it also, but I would advise in a sense where let's make sure we have all the basic needs first, where you can have, maybe you can check, use the 3 pillars that I shared in my presentation as a guide, where you are able to commit your day-to-day expenses or your weekly expenses, and then your monthly expenses, and then for future, and then put some also for emergency, right? It really depends on again, your lifestyles, right? So at least the first thing is make sure you're able to commit to your basic needs and the things that you have committed to. Example, like rent, food, health. Yeah. Now internet is important, right? Internet bills. Yeah. Hi, Riza. So Riza asked, how can I manage my financial situation as a student knowing I come from a third world country? I I don't know what you mean by, manage your financial situation in a third world country. There are lower, least developed country that UNCDF has been supporting. And we do enable the market where we provide financial services, product in the market. So think of what you want and then go and see what product and services out there as a user or as a consumer. So before, it's like, when you go to groceries, like you want to know that, okay, I want to cook tom yum, and I'm just giving you an example here. I know what ingredients I want. I go there and I buy those ingredients and cook my tom yum, right? Or rather going to a grocery and with the limited money you have on your hand, you said, oh, I want to buy everything here, but I don't know what to buy. So maybe we can think about what goals we want. What do we want to eat? And then see the money if we have it enough, and then buy the ingredients. If we don't have enough money, we plan how do we can achieve that X amount of money to be able to buy the ingredients for tom yum. Yep. All right, so Amo, how can we improve our financial health while we're still students? Regardless, you're a student, you're not student, even if you're working, you're not working, there is always way to improve financial health. So again, go back to the 3 pillars and envision yourself. What life do you want to lead? And see money as a tool. So money is a tool. People always think money is the end goal. I want to make more money because I want more money. But actually, you want more money because money is a tool to get you something. So example, if you fall sick, you want to pay to see the doctor. You have that tool to let you see the doctor. There's certain food you want to enjoy. You have that money to purchase that food. So what are the goals, or how do you improve your financial health, right? So here you say, maybe one is as simple as saving. I believe here mostly are students. So maybe think, how do you want to make more money? And how do you want to save? Making more money, you either need to provide a product or a service in return of something. So you need to provide something so that you receive an income. And 2, when you receive the income, one thing I would just share with you is where you want to put the money to make the money grow. How do you want to save? Then that becomes the habit of saving, right? Great. I see more questions. Great. So there is a question here. It's Go Get a platform for us to get freelance jobs. So Go Get is a work on demand platform where you can provide gig workers. So if you just quickly Google Go Get Malaysia, you will see information on their website. So you can register as a gig worker if you want to. Yep. What should be my primary financial goal as a student? Okay, so let me just quickly go through these questions and then see what are the similar questions and see if I can just answer all together. Okay. How to control, because, okay, so mainly here are students. And what be your primary financial goal as a student? So think about, maybe do an exercise here where tonight, maybe before you sleep, you just close your eyes and you envision yourself. Do the power of visioning, because if you don't vision what the future lies, you don't know what you want to do now. So imagine you're at 30 years old. Vision it stronger, okay? So imagine you sleep, you go to bed, and the next morning, if you're 30 years old, think, how do you want your life to be on that day? What is your day-to-day life looks like? What are you going to wear? Think of all the little details, and then it'll help you to maybe shape who you are, or in that life that you want, the lifestyle you want. When you wake up, what are you going to wear? Are you going to wear formal clothing? Are you going to wear casual? Where are you going to go? How does the agenda of the day look like? Say when you're 30, and then do it when you're 40, and then when you're 50. These are the lifestyle that you want to have, and then put down everything in numbers. So I'm sure you guys are studying, right? And then what career do you want to proceed? What career do you want to have in the future? And then do a quick Google. Now, all of us are so privileged, you know. You have internet, you know how to read and write, you have a computer or a smartphone, you can Google, you have data. Check the career that you want. Maybe you can also check, you know, what is the income for these careers? And will you be able to achieve your lifestyle if you follow this part of the career? So maybe I'll just get example. Say if by 30, you know, I want to get married and I want to have one kid, I want to have a house of a certain size, do a quick Google, a house of a certain size, how much is the rent, how much is it to purchase, what is the mortgage, put those number in, and then say, if I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be a, you know, I want to be a photographer. Google it, how much average income of a photographer in Malaysia, what's the average income of a lawyer in Malaysia? And then with that number, you see whether you can save enough money to achieve that goal that you want by the age of 30. One thing that we all have here now is you have time and you have the physical capacity also, because when you're, imagine when you're 50, 60, 70, lifespan now increases. You will have more medical expenses, you know, you will fall, your body takes longer to recover. Having a fall, having an operation, at that age, the healing process is longer, you know. Now you are able to move, you're able to think faster. How are you going to use your youth, your energy, and your time right now for the opportunity that you want to earn more in the future, right? So envision it and put it into numbers. Whatever question you have, just put it in Google. Really, it even helped me until today, you know. There's no silly questions. You may think the question may be silly. Even put in money, put into Google. You can put in like, how do I make money and make the world a better place, you know? And then the words will come out and then it will lead you to other words, you know. So try that. So maybe the first thing back to that, you know, put everything into data and visualize it into very single detail, okay? Great. So I'm interested on how UNCDF assists the financial growth of the third world countries since you're talking about it. Okay. So how many of you have heard of UNCDF before? You can put a thumbs up. Or how many of you, so the question, how many of you have not heard of UNCDF? I should see more thumbs up now because it's either you heard it or you not heard it before. All right, great. So how many of you heard of UNDP? So UNDP is more popular, right? They're more bigger, right? So UNCDF is actually as old as UNDP. The reason why we haven't heard of it in Malaysia is because we were in the least developed country first. So we call it the LDCs. So if you can go to uncdf.org, you can check out where are the least developed countries. So I'll share another case study with you on how we work and how do we support the growth of that country. So in Uganda, there are kids that aren't able to go to school because the tuition fees was too expensive to pay one lump sum. But however, we found out that the parents could pay by smaller chunks, you know, they could pay on a daily basis because as they work only on that day they work, that day they get paid and they can fork out some money for education. And then the other problem here is the school is really far from their home. So if they take time to go to school and just pay cash and come back, they're taking time away from working. So these really poor people, money is equivalent, time is equivalent to money, right? So that's one problem. Tuition fees too high to pay in one bigger chunks, and two, going to pay cash in the school, it takes time. You know, it might take one day walking, or you know, it's like big amount of the time where it doesn't apply to us here in Kuala Lumpur. And then three, so we came up with a solution here where there is a telco here called MTN, one of the largest telco. So we worked with MTN and said that, you know what, we will guarantee the revenue of this and ask them to build another telco. So that's one telco here. So that's network. So the idea here is so that they can pay through their mobile phone on a daily basis. So you don't need a smartphone. It can be just like a normal SMS service provider where they can pay through their phone. However, 90% of Uganda do not have grid electricity. You can't just switch it on and charge your phone. So what we did was we called an application and we worked with a company. We found out a solution where you pay as you go power. So there is a solar panel and there's a box there where you pay as you go. It's like you top up your phone, you top up for power. And then, so with that power, they are able to charge their phone. So there's now the solution here is pay as you go for power, and you have the network to pay for tuition fees. And all that happens, and then the kids are able to go to school. So that is one of the solution or one of the case study here I'm just sharing with you in Uganda. So as the developing countries are growing with new solution, how many of y'all here have e-wallet or touch and e-wallet here? You pay by GrabPay, pay by Touch and Go Pay. There are a lot of digital solutions coming up now. However, some products are being left behind. We call it like leaving people behind, the poorer or the moderate income earners. So example, like here now, you're all students. Imagine in future where you have a business, okay? Say a makcik on the roadside or pakcik on the roadside selling nasi lemak or selling pisang goreng. And, her business boomed, really on the roadside. You got her kuali, got her stall, got her tent, selling a lot of pisang goreng, right? And she wants to increase her stall, but she wants to borrow money from the bank, say 5,000, 10,000, an amount that may be small to some people, but it's quite large to some people. However, the bank won't be able to lend it to them because they have no records. Because when you want to borrow money from bank, you need to have like an audited account. There are a lot of criteria to be able to lend the money in to them, So, and because of that, they aren't able to expand their company because they don't have the capital to expand the money, or they aren't able to borrow. So what they usually do is they usually borrow money from, loan sharks or from their relatives. And how do we create a new product or if financially including them digitally? So imagine like GrabPay. Imagine she only sells the pisang goreng through GrabPay. So imagine GrabPay would have all the data. Grab will know how much their income is on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and Grab may possibly give a microloan to them. So that's some of the example where how do we innovate with new solution. Great. So there is one more question here. So here, UNCDF have any plan helping people who are affected by COVID-19 in terms of economy and finance? Okay, so UNCDF, you can see it as enabler. So imagine that, you have a car, you want to drive a car, but in order, before you drive the car, you need to make sure you have the tar road, the road is properly done, the infrastructure is properly done. So what we do is we enable someone to be able to tar the road so that the car are able to drive properly. So one of the things that we recently launched and closed was we did a challenge called COVID-19 Financial Health Challenge. It was open up globally, and we just closed it. We did a boot camp, and we managed to find certain solutions to support them to roll out in the market. So some of the example which I gave just now, like Hey Alfred, GoGet, these are the partners that we're working with. There are a number of solutions out there, where you can actually look and see how it can improve your financial health, which is the 3 pillars, your goal, your security, and control. So there are challenges that we are helping. We call it challenge, is like competition. So like financial health challenge, financial health competition to look for solution and roll out in the market on this. Yeah, great. I heard about UNDP Accelerator Labs. Can you share more information about acceleration program for startups? UNDP, so we are a different agency. UNDP has their own agency and UNCDF is a separate agency. So I'm not sure how they are doing the accelerator labs. Maybe you can, I believe they have information on their website and you can actually check out on their website on how they are approaching it. But if you want to know more information for accelerator program, there are actually a lot of accelerator program out there. If you do a quick Google, accelerator program Malaysia or Magic, some agencies out there, banks, companies, corporates, there are a number of it where you can actually look out for. Right. Any more questions? Hi, Fatin. Again, so this question is, how does UNDP apply AI to the data analytic and transparency? I am sorry, unable to answer that because I'm not from UNDP. I'm from UNCDF. So it's a separate arm from UNDP. So United Nations, it's like the bigger, so it's like the great grandparents, I call it, right? And then from there are a lot of mandates, and they created more agencies. So there's like UNDP, UNCDF, you know, like your WHO. So UNCDF is the only agency by the UN that actually does investments. So our mandate is to do investments. And maybe one thing we do is for now, our focus here is financial health. So I'm sure you heard of financial literacy and financial inclusion, right? We all got bank account. Yeah, you're included. And then what? Financial literacy is like, yeah, I know I need to save. And then what, right? But financial health is like, what product do we use where you don't need to think and you're able to achieve that goal, right? So imagine you're a Grab driver and you earn, say, 40 ringgit for one trip. And maybe in that 40 ringgit, 4 ringgit, 10%, 4 ringgit will go into saving automatically. So it's a product where it's created so seamlessly for you to do it based on your own human behavior, and then you will do it in the end, you know. Right. Any other questions? So maybe I'll just share with you more products out there. You know, you can start checking on maybe first step is to know where your money goes. If you don't know where your money goes, you don't know how money comes into. You know, maybe there are so many apps out there where you can check, you know, budget tracker, financial tracker, and key in every single thing. You know, your lunch, your breakfast, all your emergency expenses, unexpected expenses. I think first is to understand your expenditure behavior first, and then think of how to save. There are a number of products out there to save also, where you can check, you know, saving platform. There are Facebook group that you can join also. There is one called Funding Society. You might want to check out, you know, peer-to-peer lending if you want to invest in. I'm not, but also know where do your homework first, know what they are first before just jumping into it also. I'm just sharing here what are the products out there, read on them, check on them, and then see whether it's relevant or how is it applicable to you. Just knowing new things, know what you don't know. So at this point in time, maybe you don't know what you don't know. So try know more of all these things, products out there. Yeah, great. Any yes, about financial freedom. Is it not about having any debt at all? Hi, Shafwan. Okay, it's not about not having any debt at all, but rather than, are you able to enjoy what you want to enjoy with that tool? So you might want to list out, I enjoy playing guitar. Do you want to buy a 5,000 ringgit guitar, or do you want to buy a 5 million ringgit guitar, right? And how do you want to achieve that? You can have debts, but rather you want to do how are you going to manage your debt? You know, whether you're able to pay for it. You know, are you earning, say, 10,000 ringgit, and every month you need to pay 500 ringgit on a certain loans? 500 out of 10,000, you know, depending what commitments you have. So having debt is not necessarily bad, but you need to know how you want to manage your debt. It's almost you can't be buying house. You can, but it's just very difficult to buy a house with cash, you know, ₦1 million house. How are you going to fork out with that? Because you might want to have loans so that you can use the money to create more money. So it's a tool to make more tool, right? So yeah. So money is a tool on that. Sorry, just let me have some water. Yeah. So imagine if you park 1 million just on your house cash, and then you know you have to start saving all over again. It's very difficult for you. It's another word called cash flow. You might want to manage your cash flow too. Right. So yeah. So there are quite it's a journey to learn, you know. I feel that this is something that we should all be learning when we're in school, which is like high school. It's something to think about it now. It's not too late. But I guess if I could give myself an advice if I'm still in uni, I would be thinking, how do I want to retire? It's never too early to start to think about your retirement plan. In fact, it's always better to be early. How do you want to live your life? And then try to take the route of how you're able to achieve that. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm able to answer that space app challenge. You can ask. I'm sure some people in the team will be able to assist you on that. So maybe my key takeaway here is think about the 3 pillars again, you know, financial security, control, freedom. And I think about the future. And then think about what apps or what products or services you can start with one simple app, maybe just budget tracking on that. Yeah. So that's that. Yeah. Sounds good. What do you mean by UNCDF next steps? In what sense? So maybe share with you in Malaysia, we do run a lot of challenges. Challenges as like competition. You can go to uncdf.org/finlab. Maybe I'll just type it in the chat. And you can sign up for our newsletter there. We have a number of projects that's going on uncdf.org/finlab. Here. On track on that. You can sign up on our newsletter. We have some programs up and coming. Great. Sounds good. If there is no question, I'll just wait for, say, 1 more minute if there's any other questions. Great. All right. Thank you, guys. Hope you have some key takeaways from this session. All the best. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.